recording right now?
Yeah.
The fakie is a very foundational beginner trick. It is super important to learn because, I mean, every time you're gonna go backwards, you're gonna do a fakie. And every time you wanna do a half cab, you're gonna have to learn the fakie. So that's what we're going to learn today. Make me a deal. If you get any value out of today's video, hit that like and subscribe button. My dog is chewing on my tripod. That's not helpful. Comment down below any videos that you would like me to make next. Also, I actually have a BMX class. It's called the Fast Pass BMX class. Teaches you guys how to get really good, really fast, the right bikes to buy, the wrong bikes to buy, how to get the most bang for your buck with riding equipment, you know, safety gear, the best shoes to buy, the best riding attire, the mental aspect of BMX. Basically, it's designed to absolutely cut the learning curve of
learn
BMX.
another
I've been
trick
riding for
and then
5 to
link
7
them
years.
together, right?
I've accomplished
So
a lot.
you've learned the
built a
one hander,
channel,
you
built
learned the
many
X
bikes,
up,
boom,
you
thousands
immediately
of dollars, and I've learned a lot. So take this class, learn everything I've learned in the past 5 to 7 years, so you don't have to make the same mistakes I do, and you can progress way faster. Anyway, so how to fakie. Here are the steps. You're simply going to, well, we're gonna learn learning how to fakie, right? So we're not gonna be talking about doing it out of a 180. We're gonna be doing the method where you go up and you put your front tire up against a wall or a curb, and then you fakie back out. So we're gonna be learning how to the fakie, and then you're gonna take that trick and then put that with the 180, if that makes sense. Anyway, so the steps to learning the fakie is going up and then getting that tire press down, just getting that tire press. Then it is going to be starting to pedal backwards, then the actual fakie motion. So step 1, getting that kind of preload form. Now it kind of sounds a little bit weird because you're learning a step that in reality you're not ever really gonna do once you actually master the fakie, but it's very important. This is the best way to learn fakies. Unless you want to learn them straight out of a 180, you can skip this step, but let's say you're not pro at 180s yet, or maybe you can't even 180. This is the way to learn it. So go up at a slow to medium speed, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of lean back as you approach the ledge. Then the second the second that your front tire makes contact with that wall or curb or whatever it might be, you're gonna shift that weight that's leaning back, you're gonna shift it forward, so that way you lift that back tire up. Now the reason that you have to do this and you simply can't just run into the wall and bounce back is because you are shifting your weight. You're shifting your weight from back, now it's forward, all your power is in your front wheel, then you're gonna use that momentum to swing back down, pull back, just kind of, you know, lean back and push off the wall. That's what's gonna give you that backwards motion, right? So a lot of people, they just try to slam into it or they can't conquer that. This is a step that is not actually a part of the fakie, but it's super essential to learning it faster and the best. So weight back, approach it slow to medium speed. The second you make contact with that front tire on that wall, shift your weight forward, suck your legs up, get that back wheel off the ground, and then push off, drop back down, and then we were actually going to get into the fakie, which the second part is beginning to go backwards. Now we are going to do a fakie tutorial on cassette because doing it on freecoaster is really easy. You can simply turn about 45 degrees and then just pick up and pivot or do a half cab. Cassette is a little bit more complicated, so that is the tutorial we are doing today. I will throw in a example of a freecoaster fakie, but keep in mind all of these steps with the cassette are good to learn also for freecoaster. So the first thing that you're going to do once you start, you know, both tires on the ground and you start actually going backwards, the first thing you're going to do is keep your weight even over the bike. That means you're not going to be too far left, too far right yet. So your weight is going to be straight, but it's going to be towards the back tire. It's going to be almost like your butt is a little bit behind the seat, so that way you can keep your balance and your momentum going backwards. So what I like to do is give it one big quick crank back. It's just personal preference. Maybe you can hold it a little bit longer. Maybe you can only do half crank. Personally, I like to do, you know, half to one crank. So we're going backwards, we're leaning back, then we're doing one crank. And then at the same time, whenever we kind of start going back a couple inches, we're gonna lean to one side or the other. So I'm gonna do this example with a rider that is left foot forward, as am I. So this will be a left foot forward example. Anything I say, like leaning direction and stuff like that, just flip it opposite for right foot forward. So I'm left foot forward. I'm gonna go back a couple inches. Then I'm gonna start turning my front tire, leaning my weight kind of back where I was. You know, my butt's still back over the seat, but it's gonna be a little bit more to the left to kind of shift that momentum. So we're leaning back, we're turning the fakie, and once we get to about 45 degrees, so going up, coming back, 45 degrees, then you have to line up your pedal pressure. That's why I like to pedal back real quick, so that way when you're at 90, you can put pedal pressure and then kind of lift up and pivot over. And then once you get better at it, you know, you can do half cabs, you can do sliders and stuff like that. So next step is the actual pivot out. So you've got the, you know, kind of press, you've got the going backwards. Now we're gonna get real detailed on the fakie. So let's say doing that, coming back, and then now you're at that 45-degree angle, you're leaning a little bit to the left, a little bit to the back, your front tire's going, you're 45 degrees going backwards, right? Now you're going to make sure your front foot is forward, whether you gotta crank back real quick, once, twice, a half go, whatever it takes, whatever's comfortable for you in your specific situation. You're coming back, get that front pedal ready to stomp down at 45 degrees, around 45 to 90 degrees. You're gonna push down on that front foot, so that way it lifts up that front tire, and then that momentum that you have from bouncing off that wall or that 180 going backwards, you're going back, you're pivoting it, you pivot, and then it's just gonna bring you back around to going forward. And that's pretty much all there is to the fakie. But this trick is hard to learn. It's not a hard trick, but it's kind of hard to learn, you know? It's like one of those tricks, once you get it, but it's really weird. You know, the bunny hop, compress, you jump. The 180, you compress, you jump and carve. The 360, the same thing with that. But this one, you know, you've got to lean back, you've got to lean just right, you got to line up the back pedal, you got to line up the pivot. So there's a lot going on. And I know this tutorial is probably a mouthful, but the video examples, I'm just going to play right here. I mean, you just really, really need to watch the video examples over and over and figure out what I do at what point. So if you would like to fakie longer, all you got to do is prolong the leaning, turning the wheel process. So what I mean is you're going to hold that kind of steady, straight weight back. Pedal back, you're going to be swerving. And then when you're ready to fakie out, you know, you shift your butt back to the left, turn that wheel to 45 degrees, do the pedal pressure pivot. But it's kind of hard to do long fakies, and it took me probably a solid week to be able to fakie just 5 feet off of my parents' garage when I was younger. So give that one some time. It's going to take a while to be able to fakie longer, but it's good to master and be very comfortable with fakies, because then that's going to translate into half cabs, full cabs, and 5 cabs. So it's definitely a good trick to learn. So things to avoid when doing the fakie. You don't want to press up against the wall, come out, and immediately try to go. You're going to want to give yourself a little bit of time to come off the wall a couple inches. If you're on cassette, you're going to want to have time to pedal back real quick. If you're on freecoaster, you're simply going to want to have time to kind of go in a straight line just to kind of get your bearings. So don't try to fakie too early. And then some people try to learn this out of a 180 who aren't really great at 180s. So if you're not perfect at 180s, which chances are you aren't if you can't fakie, I highly recommend learning it off a wall. So another thing to avoid is don't learn them out of 180s. Master the 180 separately, then master the fakie. But I recommend doing the fakie first, because you can't really do a full 180. You know, you can do the rotation, but you can't get out of it if you can't fakie. So I would recommend and advise that you learn this off of a wall. Don't make the mistake of being able to land a 180 4 out of 10 times, because the chances are if you only land a 184 out of 10 times, you're only going to land that fakie probably like 0.1 times out of 10. Like, you're not going to really land it all that much if you're already screwing up the 180. So give yourself more chance of success quicker by just simply learning it off the wall. That's all the mistakes I really have to avoid. It's a simple yet difficult trick, if that makes sense. It's simple, but it's not easy. There's a lot of moving parts. Luckily, the parts aren't very complicated, but there are a lot of moving parts to figure out. So this one takes a little bit longer to learn than maybe a 180 or a bunny hop. So if you have any questions, comment them down below. Hit that like and subscribe button if you learned something. Sign up for the Fast Pass BMX class. Cut that learning curve. Get good fast. Learn the growth hacks that I've got for you guys. And I will see you in the next tutorial.